no problem is an engineering problem, no problem is a supply chain problem. Every problem is an Euler problem. Was that it was okay to fail the first attempt, but it is not okay to fail on the same thing again. So you have to constantly push forward. One of the customers asked us this, that if something goes bad, if the vehicle needs servicing, so should they go to an electrician or should they go to a mechanic? So the mindset that the customers had was EV was something for them was to be related to the Chinese way. First set of vehicles, the vehicle that we manufactured in the L5 category, we made it superior than in fact the diesel or the CNG variants.
So what features does Storm have comparatively to high load? Hello and welcome to Ask EV by Euler, where we sit down with change makers, innovators and leaders shaping the future of electric mobility. I'm Swati Mishra, your host, and we have Poorvak Kapoor, the VP of Technology at Euler Motors. Let's dive into his story and vision. So in this session, no filters, no script, just candid moments. So buckle up and let's get started. Thank you Poorvak sir for coming and giving us time.
I appreciate it. What a great platform. Let us get started.
So what got you interested in electric vehicles and the idea of clean mobility?
I think that's an interesting one. So I would have to go back into my childhood of how exactly my upbringing have been. So my family has been occasionally gathering into multiple religious forays where we have this idea of giving back. And giving back resonated with clean mobility and sustainability hands in hand. So prior to Euler, I was a hardcore developer, hardcore coder. I have been developing code for multiple startups and organizations. And when I got to know about electric vehicles and Saurav specifically, because me and Saurav go back a long time, where I was working with him in the previous organization, which was Q26 as well. And when he gave me a ring that, hey, I'm thinking about electric vehicles, so it definitely clicked. So that was my interest area of electric vehicles, and that was in fact the first time I got introduced to electric vehicles, being pretty honest about it. So I started reading about it, like what exactly goes into a vehicle, what exactly clean means, like what is the clean part of the electric mobility. That made me further more curious to go and speak with Saurav in person. So this is how the conversation started. And then the sustainability part came into play, where he mentioned that he wants to go big into pure electric vehicles. He does not want to do hybrid, because there were a lot of flavors of clean mobility as well, where we were talking about hybrid vehicles also. But his vision was very, very clear that we want to do pure electric vehicles from day one. So that clicked, and we said that, hey, let us do this together. So the chemistry between me and Saurav also has been proven because of Q26. So that comfort existed from day one also, that my reporting manager will be pretty cool about what I do. I think he has been keeping up fairly well of my maverick nature. So yeah, all hands up for him.
So how many years have you completed at Euler Motors?
In fact, a couple of months back, I completed my 6th year. Now 7th has started. So yeah.
Did you ever imagine that India would have moved this fast in the EV adoption in the commercial space?
When we started, our plan was that we will have a ramp journey. So ramp journey initially never anticipated for this fast-paced reaction of the Indian commercial space. So we are still in awe and elated the way India has ramped the EV journey. Our vision, or in fact our idea of why we should hit the commercial space, has come along fairly well. Reason being that the commercial aspect of the vehicles understand the TCO, the total cost of ownership, the maths of running a vehicle fairly well. And they also understand that why electric vehicle will make more sense to them. Commercially, mathematically, financially, all of it was making sense to support the EV adoption.
So what were the problems that you faced in the starting of Euler Motors?
So the first 40 vehicles that we built were mostly engineered and built by us, the initial 5-7 member team. So there were deviations and there were variations between the vehicles that we were building. We were not using a lot of sophisticated equipment. These were not tooled parts. Usually you have a tooling procedure that goes in, where you have all repeatable parts coming out of that tool. So we were not using, all of the parts were not tooled. Obviously, some of them were also, but not maybe all of them. So what we started doing was then we started improvising and adding, let's say, quality measures of how we can anticipate, how we can think of like all parts should be repeatable. So we created checklists, we created automation, we created fixtures of repeatability. And this is how maybe after the initial 40 prototypes vehicles, we started solving for the vehicles that we built.
So, what makes EV different from doing it anywhere else in the world but in India?
So Indian geography, from Kanyakumari to up north in Kashmir, from Gujarat to up east in Assam, the 7 states, it is vast. And just the way the language changes, like every 50-60 kilometers, there is a local language that gets changed. The requirement of the EV customers also change. The last 40-50 years, the way the combustion engine vehicles have been, I believe the audience, Indian audience, have been able to adjust to those requirements fairly well. But EVs, because of the newness of these vehicles in the industry, there is a bit of anxiety that exists with the customers today. To begin with, the range is definitely an anxiety that customers are trying to answer to. In fact, they have a lot of plethora of questions that they come up with. In fact, a funny incident, but a very recent one, where one of the customers asked us this, that if something goes bad, if the vehicle needs servicing, so should they go to an electrician or should they go to a mechanic? These kind of anxiety exist with our customers today. Now the sparsity and the varsity that exists in the geography is what sort of questions that poses to the designing or the engineering part of the vehicles is that we have to face extreme weathers. Like for example, in Kashmir you have sub-zero temperatures. In north, in Delhi area, Delhi NCR areas, you have scorching heat. In Rajasthan, Ajmer areas, you have scorching heat. It goes beyond 50 at times. In past, it has gone beyond 50. And in south, down south, you have high humid areas. So when you design and when you engineer these vehicles, you have to be aware, you have to be wary of these facts that you need to encompass all of these attributes into the vehicle design part of it. So that is one challenging part. The other challenging part is how you refuel these electric vehicles, which is the charging side. When you plug in these vehicles to charge, these are actually drawing energy from the grid. Now these grids initially were not meant to support this kind of load that is being posted or that is being boosted to these grids today. So which is why what is happening is that the quality of the supply to these vehicles is varying, and because of which what happens is that it implies a lot of electrical shock to the vehicles. The vehicles that we need to design needs to adapt to these electrical variance that is supplied through the grid. It also needs to adapt to the electrical and the weather conditions that it is exposed to. And along with that, the infrastructure, the road infrastructure that we have, the sudden potholes, the unplanned bumps, all of it needs to be regulated to it. So the vehicle comprises of 3 aspects. One is the mechanical, the other is the electrical, which is the battery, the power electronic side of it. And third is how exactly you package it so that it is weather protected. Now all of these 3 major aspects of the vehicles in a way is kind to expose to some sort of shock. So when we started on our drawing board of what should we build, of what all the kind of nuances that needs to go into building that, we encompassed all of it, which is why after building the vehicle we said that this vehicle is now India ready. And in fact, from the day of designing it till today, we have been able to test out rigorously. This has been 6 years, 7 years now. In fact, 7 years for me already. Company has been running for even long. So the company has been testing out these vehicles to all the possible conditions on how the vehicle would react. And just in case if you have missed out on a corner case, the way we react to those corner cases is pleasant.
So what USPs does Euler Motors vehicles have for this high temperature weather?
So when we were running our vehicles, we saw that the commercial vehicles are meant to be a little overloaded because it's a money cow for the customers. So when we saw that the kind of requirements that you're pulling from the powertrain, the kind of requirements that you're pulling from the battery pack, it caused the battery pack to start heat. Now to counter that, there were multiple ways we could approach the problem. And the first way we attempted was to cool down the battery pack. The obvious way is that something is heating up, you have to cool it down. So we started engineering the cooling side of it. The biggest challenge that was posed to us was that just like the passenger vehicles where you have ACs in the car, where you have HVACs running, probably a lot of car manufacturers uses the same AC line to cool down the battery packs or the electronics that needs cooling. But unlike them, the three-wheeler we started building does not come out with an AC. These cabins are not cooled. So we had to innovate there, where we started saying that we need to build something ground up that will go primarily into our vehicles, which will cool down the battery pack while it is getting charged, because we wanted faster charging times. And at the same time, while you are running the vehicle, if the vehicle heats up, if the battery heats up, it needs to cool down the battery pack also. One is because you need the vehicle uptime to be maximized. Second is you want this vehicle to run for the longest, probably for 7 years, 10 years, so that you can exhaust maximum money out of it, and post that you also need a great after sale of the vehicle. So which is why our patented tech of arc reactor systems came into play, where we said that we would want to cool down the battery packs. Now there are further nuances of how we thought of cooling the battery pack down, because there goes a lot of technology inside the battery pack, where we have channels which are touching the cells so that it would cool down the cells, and there are cooled liquid that goes inside and runs through these channels, where we could cool down the cells by consuming the heat from the cells to this liquid. When this liquid comes out, we try to cool this liquid again, and this is an infinite loop until we say that we want to run it. So this is how we started up cooling down the the battery pack that we have today.
Great. Problems do you want to solve it for the Indian market?
So when we started Euler, so I believe the first thing that we wanted to solve for the customer was the perception. So the mindset that the customers had was EV was something for them was to be related to the Chinese vehicles. So we used to have e-rickshaws that was running between the metros. We used to see a lot of e-rickshaws also toppling because of maybe not the best engineered vehicles. So the mindset or the perception of the electric vehicles was that is an inferior product that is existing in the market. So we had to cater to that problem, and then that problem was the most exciting problem that we had to cater through. The way we structured to attempt to solve it was that the first set of vehicles, the vehicle that we manufactured in the L5 category, we made it superior than in fact the diesel or the CNG variants altogether. So that is the most performant vehicle in the category. It is just not the best EV, it is the best performing electric vehicle, or in fact the best performing vehicle in the category altogether. So this is how out loud we said that this is how we want to solve, and this is the way we should, or the customer should perceive the electric vehicles. So just not that perception or that notion was carried forwarded to the next product line also, which is the Storm that was recently launched. And the way it is being accepted in the market is phenomenal. That is the best performing vehicle in its own category as well.
So what features does Storm have comparatively to high load?
So Storm firstly is in the N1 category. The government has classified and categorized. So L5 is for the 3-wheeler cargo vehicles. N1 is for the 4-wheeler cargo vehicles. So it has a bigger load body, it can carry much more payload, it has much more power output of the vehicle, and along with it, the higher trims also comes out with the homegrown infotainment cluster as well. You could interact with the infotainment systems, you could probably watch and consume a lot of entertainment through it, and best-in-class steering systems as well. It comes with electronic steering, the way you steer, because these vehicles are supposed to run for north of 100, 140, 150 kilometers in a day. So the fatigue that comes along with driving these heavy vehicles for that long also causes a lot of stress, fatigue to the drivers as well. So we were thinking from that mindset as well, that we wanted to have a bit of comfort for the drivers at the end of the day. So we said that these vehicles, the 4-wheelers, will come out with electronic steering. Now I would advise that if you haven't, you should have a test drive as well, that once you drive it, the way the freedom exists in the steering is phenomenal.
So what kind of team culture have you built to keep innovation moving forward at Euler?
So at Euler, the teams that we structured, we said that we will build a bottom-top approach for this. We said that every innovation with the young adults that we are dealing with in the teams, it is thriving in that space. We are open, we have active listening with them, and whenever they have something to say, there is no hierarchy that we have to follow. If they want to approach me or Saurav or anyone in fact in the company, everybody is open to just come up and say their thoughts. So we are extremely open to listen, and I believe that is one difference that we have created across the resources that we have. Along with that, I think we appreciate one ideology that Saurav had inculcated very early in the company, was that it was okay to fail the first attempt, but it is not okay to fail on the same thing again. So you have to constantly push forward. So that pushing forward realm was very clearly paved into everybody's heart, and the way we approach our problems today clearly reflects. Thirdly, accountability has been deep-rooted. No problem is an engineering problem, no problem is a supply chain problem. Every problem is an Euler problem. So the way we approach it, we try every individual in the organization, try to solve it end to end. We don't say that, hey, it was an engineering problem and this is work done for me. We try to find out the gaps, we try to call them out, and then we also try to find solutions in help with our counterparts in the other teams. So this is the way we have approached solving the human resources, and in fact inculcating the innovation that we see across with our counterparts in the organization.
So we have many customers who have completed 1 lakh plus kilometers. So scaling a product from pilot to 1 lakh plus kilometers on ground performance, what helped Euler to get there?
So when we started, we talked about the arc reactor technology, how our thesis was that it will help the longevity of the vehicles, and how exactly we think that it will also help the uptime. So that has definitely helped. Clearly, the data that we are gathering through the telematics, we see on the cloud where we are gathering this data, that how exactly the batteries are performing. That is one. Along with it, we talked about the telematics piece. Any niggles or any problems that we could encompass, that we were all prepared for it. The reason being that we had preventive maintenance pieces in the middle that were constantly running, and they were also predicting that if there could be a possible downtime. So on the possibility and the probability, the service team took decisions of attempting the vehicle to fix even before it went down. So all of that in togetherness made sure that these vehicles can easily cross 1 lakh kilometers. And in fact, some of these customers that you're referring to, we had one-on-one with them to understand that what were their feedbacks, what was the success story, like what was the case study of how exactly they ran this vehicle. So one of the great feedback about the vehicle was that even after running 1 lakh kilometers, the vehicle is still giving them beyond of 100 kilometers of range. That was a definitive, clear in bold story, success story that said that Euler vehicles are performant. So along with that, we said that these vehicles, these batteries should give you longer lifetime. And when we saw the degradation of the battery pack, because these cells, by the nature virtue of it is expected to degrade over time. But what the engineering part of it could solve is that it could elongate the degradation. So when we were observing that data, the structure, the mechanical, the packaging of the battery pack was done with the idea that it should be extended. It was extended. The data reflected of what the thesis was. So I believe that was a great plus of keep a vehicle running always. Along with that, the team mindset was such that if there is any downtime, it will just not be the service team who will be reacting to that situation. It will be the complete R&D, the complete engineering team, the CRM team. There will be multiple interfaces reacting at the same time so that they have the least amount of downtime. So this also made sure, this also inbuilt the trust with the customers for the Euler, that if something goes bad with the vehicle, the team is with you. And it was actually the case as well, that in fact I myself has attempted vehicle break down multiple times, have gone to their places to fix the vehicle so that they have happy peace of mind.
Great.
So he was very, very satisfied. Satisfied customer is a satisfied engineer.
Yes, for sure. So Storm EV comes with ADAS feature. So can you elaborate about it?
Sure. So when we started building Storm EV, so the idea was clear that we were also looking at the kind of road accidents that happen, the mishappenings that happens at the roads. And looking at the data, it clearly voiced out that the commercial vehicles are the set of vehicles which are most prone to the set of accidents. There are plethora of reasons behind them, and one of the major reasons that we faced or that we recognized was because these commercial vehicles have the longest fatigue, because these drivers are running these vehicles throughout the day, and in fact at times they're also running it throughout the night as well. While they also interchange the driver, the helper also tries to run that vehicle, but at the same end the vehicles are constantly running for this long. So at the night time, we have identified that these vehicles are the ones that has maximum set of accidents. So our notion started from that point. We wanted to solve for the customers, and we wanted to solve it using tech. So ADAS was the answer to it, where we started putting front cameras, back cameras, sensors throughout the vehicle, the 360 sense of it. We started putting sensors. With this idea that the algorithms running in the infotainment will constantly sense using these sensors, the camera sensors and the ultrasonic sensors and the other sensors that we have, and will try to compute and come to a senses, and will try to alert the driver as well if it is able to predict that there could be a potential collision of an object with the vehicle. So that was a start point. When we started looking at that problem, when we started diving deep into that problem, we unboxed multiple more problems that could be tackled through this, just not the object detection. We said that object detection on a day is relatively easier and probably is, let's say, 20% of the accidents, while the remaining 80% is at the night time. So we said that what we can do to answer the set of problems for the night time, which is where the innovation for the NVA, which is a night vision assist technology that is part of the ADAS suite, was born. NVA uses LEDs, NVA uses some other spectrum of light that we have, which comes out as a standard lights that are in the Storm, and then they constantly try to see what is the depth of the object at the night also. Probably with our naked eyes we might not be able to see because that is outside the visible spectrum of a human, but it is existing. So it is constantly monitoring of all the possible objects that could come, and it will, depending upon what is the higher the probability, the louder the alert for the driver. So this is how we built the NVA. Along with the NVA, there were further more technologies that while you are driving, we are in fact even extending our ADAS systems by adding driver drowsiness, looking at using another camera, looking at the driver, so that we can alert the driver and probably send notifications on the applications also that, hey, we have identified that the driver is a little drowsy and you need rest. So that is the main intent, that probably the driver should take rest so that they could avoid accidents on the roads. So this is how the ADAS system works.
So can you tell us how many accidents have been saved with this ADAS feature?
Sure. So in these last 5-6 months that we have launched Storm EV, we have roughly north of 10,000 alerts that we have seen the vehicles have generated. And clearly out of those 10,000 alerts, we have seen approximately 85 to 90% of the times that customer has reacted. In fact, majority of times the adaptive driving, the adaptive braking, along with the customer applying the brakes, have actually saved the accident to happen. So it's a great success story.
So that's a phenomenal number. So what do you think the next breakthrough in the EV sector in India?
I think that's a great question. So 3-4 aspects that comes up in my mind right now is, one is definitely the battery technology. That there are enormous amount of innovations happening while we speak. There are solid state batteries coming up. There are batteries coming up which will tend to give you almost unlimited life cycle. that is all about the cells that are coming up. You have even denser cells that are coming. It will probably take lesser space but give you equal or more amount of energies. So density of the energies are going high. Along with that, the life cycle of these cells are even going high. Along with that, we talked about connectivity. We have 5G on the phones, on the telecoms that are already up and running. The next in phase we are thinking is that probably we would want to introduce 5G for our connectivity suite on our vehicles as well. We are already running on the 4G, which is best in class in the industry today. We want to push our limits, our boundaries further by introducing 5G communications in it. Along with that, we are thinking of expanding and including more tech for the infotainment systems. Like today, we already have, you could probably use our infotainment systems to watch movies, probably browse through some OTTs that are already out there in the infotainment systems. We are even pushing our boundaries further so that this infotainment system could be of further use for the customers. Because in the commercial space, the drivers end up ending a lot of time in these vehicles. So these vehicles are actually part of their family. This is just not treated as another vehicle. These are treated as a family member because of the amount of time, the sheer time these drivers spend in the vehicles. So we want to make this interface, the user graphical interface for the customers, more interactive, more useful, inculcate more AI, probably chat GPTs, conversational AI, so that you can start conversing with these infotainment systems and probably use these vehicles, for example, to get your windows down, to have steering, to have automatic parking. So further extending our ADAS discussion, so we are also thinking of how we can think of automatic parking with our vehicles, because we already have all the sensories that are needed. So pushing the boundaries further. The last part of it is materials, because when you talk about range of the vehicle, that is one of the prima facie reason of people buying, because the customers want best of range in the vehicle. So to extend further ranges of the vehicle, keeping everything the same, we want to innovate in the materials of the vehicle. Today, we probably end up using sheet metal, which is the most standard accepted format in the Indian ecosystem. But there are even further newer materials that are available, which has higher strength than the sheet metals, but are much lighter. So we want to commercialize them, we want to industrialize them and use in our vehicles so that would benefit our customers at the end of the day. So this is the innovation space probably that I can think of immediately.
So let's sum up this. Can you elaborate about the journey you have with Euler Motors and what happy moments you have with them?
So long 6 years does not feel 6 years. It definitely feels that I have just started. A lot to learn. Every day is a new day of learning. So for sure, the people that I meet, the team that I have is best in industry. Greatest minds that I have the opportunity to work with. The way I have honed the team, the way they have upskilled over time, it at times becomes emotional also to look at them. The smaller room, the garages that we started working out of with, and the office that we have today. So it's a full circle, the life in full circle, how I see it. In fact, the newer board members that are coming, the teachings that they are giving to us, the newer technologies that we are inculcating within the system, and the benefit that we are giving to the customers, and the appreciation that the customers are giving to us, which is reaching the board, is a circle that is really appreciated by the team members, by the managers that are there in the industry. And I would, at the end of it, I would really want to take a moment and would want to appreciate Saurav. The way he has the patience and the support that he has offered with the radical and the maverick nature that me and my team has, the kind of independence that he has given to our team is appreciable.
So where do you see Euler Motors after 10 years?
So I believe we have already been competing really well with our incumbents. I just want, and in fact it has already started, that journey has already started where we are being benchmarked. When we started, we were benchmarking the other incumbents. Now we have already realized that we are being benchmarked and we are the ones setting the benchmark for the industry. I think we just want to continue that way. We just want to continue our growth. It has been phenomenal and we want to continue that way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So that's the wrap on the episode of Ask Everything by Euler Motors. So if you know someone who is just curious about what's coming next, do share it with someone. Until next time, keep moving forward.